And now I think I'm finally ready to start my coding session. So I try to get some coding sessions at least once a day. And I will be continuing my implementation of a process manager. Process manager is a design pattern in object-oriented programming where you react to certain events from different places, and then based on a certain state, once a certain state is reached, you can issue a new command, a new change to the system, which is pretty cool. It's not a thing that I did very often, so it's a good learning lesson for me, and it will help a lot implementing the feature that I'm working on, which is very much about accounting and stuff like that. So coding start. Meanwhile, I'm also quite active on Snapchat, and I'm trying to help people who ask me many different questions. So like today I was helping someone to understand better TDD, test-driven development. I was also talking to an interesting person about the potential switch to IT, to someone who already knows quite a lot about coding, but for some reason they are in a much different industry. And the variety of industries that people are coming from to IT is really huge. Some of the industries are really surprising to me. I think I like the whole fact that the new wave of programmers is happening and people from different industries switch to programming. And one of the reasons is because the people who switch from other industries, they have a good domain knowledge about a specific industry, and I hope they will be able to write some code and still use the knowledge from their previous industry. We are really lacking this part among the programmers, that as programmers we are good at coding, but we are not good about the business part, too much about the domain part. So getting more people from the business parts or the domain parts into programming, I think will do us good things to us. Yeah. So one of the sites that I rediscovered last year is Pinterest. And Pinterest, we started using it with my wife. This is a board to pin interesting inspirations for what we want to have in our house, in our garden. Right now we are thinking about designing a garage, and we are collecting ideas like what are the options with garages. And it's pretty cool how it works. You can have like type garage and go through all the inspirations and all the cool things. And at the beginning, the process of designing our garage and thinking about this was a bit boring to me, because I was thinking only about some kind of cover for the cars. But then when I looked like how many awesome things you can have, like books, for example, how many awesome things you can get in your garage, then suddenly it get more inspiring. And reviewing this and pinning, you can just pin, save. Okay, this one is not worth saving. Maybe this for the floor. And then I can choose that I'm doing it for the lamp rancher. And then my wife is notified about this, and we can discuss it and get inspired together. So I think Pinterest is a really cool site. I remember using it like back, 6 years ago, but they seem to be getting better. Their iOS app and the iPad app are also pretty cool. And it's a good way of getting more creative to me, so getting more inspired from Pinterest. So coming back to Nordic Walking sport today. I did it in the past. I lived in this nice area. This forest is like just 1 minute from my house. So all kinds of sports in the forest are pretty cool to me in this environment. It's funny how things work sometimes. Like just yesterday when I was driving my car, I was listening to a podcast from Tim Ferriss this time. And I was thinking that I really like the format of Q&A when I'm asked questions and I can answer them. What I did with Maciej Inserowicz recently, for example. And I was thinking, wow, it would be nice if I was able to do more podcasts when I'm asked questions. Maybe I should organize focus more on my podcast, or maybe I would be invited. And just after that, a good friend from the programming world, he's more from PHP, has invited me to talk in his new podcast. And for me it was like, yes, of course, that's exactly what I wanted to do. So it's funny how things work. And a similar thing happened yesterday when I was so focused on how to make programming more popular, how we can get better programmers overall, and about programmers education. And I'm doing a lot of Snapchat conversations about it. And just yesterday, a man who I'm really respecting from the chess world has invited me to a conference where there will be a combination of topics covered, but all in the goal of how IT can get better, how can we get better people. And through the education, including the public education, which I'm not a big fan of, but including the public education, including the education through chess and through all the programming courses. So I'm waiting for a phone call. I'll agree to speak at a conference in Poland about that. So I'll be able to send my message, how I see these things going. And it was funny coincidence again, just after thinking that I would like to do something more in this area, like the whole Ruby 2018 is also slightly connected to this. I got the invite. I find it funny, but also I'm super excited about doing this. So I'm not sure if this is something in my brain, but now it seems that I'm working on this pattern called process manager, and I seem to realize that actually what I am is probably in a way a process manager because I need to react to certain events, and when they happen I need to issue a change. I'm a CEO, so I often get to make decisions, and actually probably that's exactly what I'm doing. So I'm listening to events. Like, for example, from time to time we do rotations in our projects within Arkency, and if there's enough new leads, if there's enough of people willing to change the projects at Arkency, if there is enough possibilities that it's actually all the other conditions are good, then I can issue a command. Let's do some rotations in the projects. Maybe it's a number of such commands. Maybe it's a command called let's have a new client, or let's drop that client, or something like this. Or like yesterday I recorded some vlogs about how the dots are connecting my head, how it creates a vision. But actually what is happening is that I'm collecting certain events. So events are those ideas. In a way they are collected in my mind. And then suddenly I'm ready to make a decision. So for example, saying yes to attending a podcast was an easy decision. Saying yes to attending a conference was an easy decision because I already was convinced that if this all happens, I had this algorithm in my head that if all of this happens, I will be making this change. So I will go to the conference, I will take part in this podcast, and now it's all super easy because I know where I'm going. That's quite a bit high level and abstract, but in the end, I think many of us are process managers. If we know what is our goal, if we know what's the algorithm, we know what are the changes, then we know how to issue a change. Probably, I'm not sure. But thanks for watching. And if you want to discuss this, come to my Snapchat. I will be happy to talk about it.